Hi, I'm Joe and welcome to the channel. In this micro lesson, I wanted to talk about chord tone soloing, or how to target chord tones when you're soloing. The idea is to get rid of your scales and just focus on the chord tones. For the longest time, and sometimes even now, I'm really just guilty of playing a scale pattern up and down over the chord progression, and I'm not even listening to what's underneath me. Well, to make better choices when soloing, it's very important to know what chord is underneath you at any given time of a solo. So let me grab a guitar and I'll show you the approach that I've been taking to try to teach myself to listen better. So to get started with this concept, we're going to need some harmonic information. We're basically going to use a 2-chord vamp. In this case here, I've been using a E to an A chord. It's nothing fancy, but the idea is to give me some sort of foundation and also build up the track a little bit if you can. I mean, maybe have some drums in it and some bass just to make it sound fuller. If you don't have that opportunity, I will leave a link in the description below where you can download this track for free and can practice over it. But the idea is very simple. Take a 2-chord vamp, and we're going to use that as our bass line. And then we're going to take a very systematic approach. We're first going to target the root notes of those chords every time they change. Then we'll target the thirds. Then we'll target the fifths. Then we'll add some arpeggios, and then maybe we can add some connecting lines to those arpeggios. Again, you're not trying to do something that's an awesome solo. This is more of a listening exercise to make sure that you understand what chord is underneath you at all given times. And also pay attention to this. Listen for the strong notes. I think what you're going to find is when you play the root notes of those chords when they change, that it feels like home. They feel very solid. The fifths will probably be your second strongest tone, and the thirds are strong tones, but you'll feel like they want to kind of lead somewhere. It's very interesting, but make this a very good listening exercise. Again, first of all, just listen to the chords underneath you change, then listen to the flavor or the characteristic that that note is adding to that chord. So let's get started with this exercise. We're first going to target the roots. So for the E chord, we'll play E. For the A, we'll play A. I know, rocket science. But let's try this and hear what it sounds like. So you could hear right away that those are very solid tones. And did you notice what I was doing? I was kind of leading into the next chord change. Again, I'm training my ear to hear when that happens, and I'm purposely playing notes that I know are going to push into the next chord. So let's do the same exact thing now, but we're going to target the thirds. So when we play E, we'll play basically a G sharp. When we play A, we'll play the C sharp on top of that. And let's hear what those sound like, and again, let's lead into the chord change a little bit. So you can see here, again, I'm not playing the best solo in the world. That's not the point. I'm trying to listen. I'm listening to how that note reacts to the chord underneath it, and I'm just outlining the changes. Very simple. Let's do the same thing now, but with the fifth. So basically, when we play E, we're going to play a B. When we play A, we'll play E, which is the fifth of those chords. And again, let's just listen and outline the changes. You can hear that still sounds very solid as well. And again, I'm just pushing in and outlining the chord change. So now let's move this up a notch. Let's go ahead and do some arpeggios. And we'll keep it very simple. We don't, again, have to do anything fancy here, but we're outlining the chord changes again. So I'm going to do the arpeggio here, this D chord, this D chord shape, slid up to play the E arpeggio. So we have E, G sharp, and B, which make up that chord. And then for the A, I'm going to play out of this shape, this bar chord shape, and I'll just use the top strings. So I'll do A, E, and C sharp. And we'll just do something very basic, again, just to outline the chord changes. But now you can see we're adding some more notes. All of those notes are very solid. And you notice I haven't even thought about a scale at all. I'm just simply outlining the chord tones with these arpeggios. So of course that doesn't really make an interesting solo, right? But that's, again, not necessarily what we're after, but to take it up to the next level, let's go ahead and add some connecting lines to this. So when we play the E arpeggio and go into the A arpeggio, let's try to add some notes that kind of lead into those arpeggios. Here's what I mean. Well, I messed up there at the end, didn't I? But I think you hear the idea here. Just basically... I'm making a little bit of a motif happening, just trying to connect those two chord shapes, or arpeggio shapes. So we have this going on, and you don't have to use these exact examples that I'm doing. I'm just trying to show you ways that I'm learning to connect these different pieces together. Again, we started very simple. We started with the roots, then we went to the thirds, then we went to the fifths, and then we did some arpeggios, and then we started trying to connect those ideas together. I think the more time that you spend with this loop, the more musical you're going to come up with, more things that are just more interesting than what I'm playing, quite frankly. But again, it's just an exercise. So let's go ahead and combine all that together. First, I'm going to start playing the roots, then I'll move to the thirds, then I'll move to the fifths, then I'll add some of the arpeggios in, and then I'll try to connect those ideas together. And let's see how far we've come, basically. So roots. Okay, so that wasn't the greatest solo in the world, but to me, I really was following the chord changes and I heard them change in my head and I was instinctually trying to go exactly where those chord tones were. So it's a very basic idea, and again, if you don't have a track to practice over, feel free to download the one that I put in the description and help yourself to that, and hopefully that'll help you with your musical journey. Hey, if you made it to this part of the video, thank you so much. It really means a lot to me that you take your time to watch these videos. If you have an idea for a topic that you might like me to cover in these micro lessons, please leave them down below. And while you're down there, will you do me a favor and consider helping me grow the channel by subscribing down below, hit the like button, and knock on the bell. All these things really do help me out, and I'm always so grateful for your support. As always, I wish you a wonderful day.